Good afternoon to all of you who may be tuning in right now to this edition of the Cavalier Connection podcast. I'm here live from the Spectrum Center. Very beautiful Hornets logo behind me, kind of in the main concourse area. You can see the sign, court's right out that way. What a fun afternoon it was. Virginia playing against Dayton, getting the win. I don't have the final stats with me. Somebody took my stat sheet, unfortunately, so I can't give you any numbers, but an unbelievable showing. I labeled this one the Jacari White show because that's what it was. Jacari White took over this game, and it was unbelievable, man. This is such a joy to watch. He commented after the game. Coach Odom commented after the game. Man, I mean, if people ask, like, did you know he had this kind of performance in him? And Coach Odom's like, well, yeah. And Grunlow, I think it was either Grunlow, I think it was Dallin Hall, said he doesn't feel bad for the other team because they had to go against it all summer long. They knew he had this in him. And I believe I heard from a couple other media members that he did take the record from Kyle Guy for most consecutive threes in a row. And that ranges all the way back to the Queens University game. I think he hit two against Queens, and he hit 3 against Texas a couple nights ago. And tonight, I think he finished 6 for 6, 7 for 7. Something like that, something ridiculous. He did not miss a shot all night. I think he finished 7 for 7 from 3. From the floor in general, I think he was 10 for 10. An unbelievable performance from Jacari White. I mean, anytime you saw him with the ball in the corner, wing, wherever it was, fans started cheering before he even shot the ball. He was finishing, and then he had a couple nice assists. I think he finished with 3 assists, finished with 3 rebounds as well, or 4 rebounds. I think it was 4 defensive rebounds. Again, I don't have the official stats with me, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd give you the real numbers. I apologize for that. But overall, he just had an unbelievable day. And a couple of people talked about it, hopefully setting the tone for what's to come tonight in Charlotte. Obviously, this was a fun one. Dayton's a good opponent. That was a good win. But if we're being honest with ourselves, this was the what's the word I'm looking for? The pre-show or the undercard, if you will, for what's going to happen tonight. The ACC championship, huge game for Virginia taking on Duke. But that also posed for there to be a lot of Virginia fans at this one. And we'll see this comment here again. I can't always see them all. Number 2, Dayton was a something. But yeah, just what a day. What a day. Jacari White was going. Dallin Hall got a little bit more aggressive. We saw a little bit more out of him. A little bit, I'm not concerned, but Chance Mallory, he had a much slower day today. I think he was 1 for 3 from the floor. Really didn't have as much of an impact. He did hit a big three, to put the Cavaliers on a run. Other than that, though, he wasn't really seen. One of the biggest concerns from this game was beating the press. Virginia struggled a lot trying to get past the press of the Dayton Flyers defense. They were pressing. Virginia was struggling to get it up the floor. They did, but there's definitely some questionable moments. They turned the ball over a lot. I think they finished with 11 turnovers in the first half, which is not something you want to see from a Virginia team. Coach Odom mentioned that was one of his biggest things he said in the locker room at halftime was, hey, guys, we have to clean up the turnovers. We cannot turn the ball over. They turned the ball over 11 times in the first half, and some of them were really frustrating. There's also a lot of commentary about the referees. Some people were not very happy. I myself did not fully agree with them. A lot of whistles on both teams, a lot of whistles. They didn't really let them play at all. It wasn't even that physical, I don't think. Just a lot of whistles, stopping the game a lot there in the first half. But it is what it is. Virginia went on a very big run to open up the second half. I think eventually the biggest run they went on was a 23-3 run, which is outstanding. Now, they did give that up a little bit. Dayton came in with a run on their own late in the second half with one final surge. Luckily, it was not enough to fully catch up to the Cavaliers. But, Dayton made a good run. They hit a couple threes, forced a couple turnovers on that press, and they made it close. But ultimately, Virginia made the foul shots they needed to, and they did what they needed to do to put this one away. I also want to mention that Jacari was in attendance. I'm sure they were on TV live. I didn't see the broadcast, obviously, but the Jacari sitting behind the basket, the 7 or 8 of them, however many there are, wearing the Jacari White T-shirts and the white headbands, were in full effect. They were loud. They were loud on defense as well. It was cool to see. They were on the opposite side of me. I could hear them. So you had them. A lot of Virginia fans showed out, as you would expect with what's happening tonight. But I'm glad to see a lot of fans support the basketball team today. And again, this is a big game. Dayton's a quality opponent, in my opinion. I don't know. I think it'll end up being a quad one win. I don't know that for sure. But Dayton's good. And honestly, after that performance, you could talk about Virginia getting ranked, in my opinion, at least receiving votes anyways. I don't know if they will get ranked, but they're going to receive some votes. They had a thriller performance against Texas a couple weeks ago or a couple days ago. And then they put this opponent. And again, the score might suggest it was a little bit closer than it was. And it was close in the first half. But in the second half, Virginia exploded. And, it wasn't a problem. Virginia took care of business. So I don't want to make this one too long. We're going to get ready for the ACC championship game coming up later tonight against Duke Blue Devils. We previewed a little bit. If you check out on YouTube with Brad Franklin from Cavs Corner, you can go check that out now, an episode. We interviewed him. He gave his thoughts on the Tech win as well as previewing this ACC championship. And we really think we have a chance. We're going to see if Virginia comes through. I'm going to be there. Bank of America, I hope you're going to be there too. Hopefully a lot of Virginia fans show out for this one. It's going to be a fun night. But now we got a lot of time to burn. We got 4.5 hours till that game goes to begin. So, but a lot of fun in the air for Virginia fans. Came to the basketball game. A lot of them in the streets right now, going to get food or whatever, passing time. And then before you know it, going to go across the street to Bank of America. And it's going to be showtime. Virginia's going to need a good quality performance because, yeah, they took Duke handedly a couple weeks ago, but it's hard to beat a team twice. Duke's going to be on their A game. They're going to give you everything they have. They're going to leave it all out on the field. And as for ACC, the ACC fans must be rooting for Virginia in this one with JMU whipping up on Troy last night, which we expected. I expected JMU to get the best of Troy, and they did. Now it's all on Virginia. If Virginia wins, the ACC will get a bid. If they don't, we might be talking about two group of fives. The ACC left out completely. That is not what we want. But I know a lot of the country is rooting for Duke to see that. And, that's just how it is. Non-ACC fans, and obviously JMU fans. JMU fans might be rooting harder for Duke than Duke fans themselves, if I'm being honest with you. But, it's going to be a fun night. I think there will be an okay amount of Duke fans only because it is in North Carolina. Durham isn't too far out from here. But then you're also talking about Virginia fans. It's a 4.5 hour ride from Charlottesville, 5-hour ride from me where I was coming from. But I think there will be good representation, especially if it is anything like what we saw in Spectrum Center today. And they were loud, man. They were loud. It almost felt like a game in JPJ South. Is that what I'm hearing? But listen, they showed out, and now we get to the main event in a couple of hours after the undercard in this one. So that's going to wrap us up. Appreciate you all for tuning in. It was a fun one here at the Spectrum Center. Virginia, your winner over Dayton. Take care, everybody. Go Hoos. Big one coming up in just a couple of hours.